January 2026 was meant to include 2 races. We've done 0 races. We had training plans, they were set, and we were gonna start our 26 running journey slowly. Our version of slow. Anyway, the motivation was high, and then plans changed. I had surgery, and my running partner Chaeli got injured. This is why we avoid stairs. We just needed more recovery time than we thought, which meant that those races didn't happen as we had so beautifully planned for. I struggle a fair amount with plans changing, which feels super ironic given that my life is all over the place all the time, and I always have a million plans going at once. Even if these plans are only in my mind and I don't share all of them out loud, they're in there. They're happening. It's like a really intense game of 3D chess that nobody knows about. It's great. I think it's a byproduct of living a disabled life. I feel like the logic is like, if I have a plan for every possible eventuality, then I can have some level of control whatever is happening. But the problem with this is that life doesn't work that way. You can't plan for every possible eventuality, as hard as we may try to do that. So I know that a lot of people grapple with this, and it's challenging for a lot of us. I guess the question then is, how do we stay motivated when we're doing the work, we're doing all the things, we're committed to the mission, and then something completely out of your control shifts the plan? What do we do then? And there's no blame here. Nothing went particularly wrong. Life just happened at a really inconvenient time, and we had to change the plan. And even when we know and understand that it's just life happening, frustration can still creep in and take hold a little bit. So I want to share a couple things that help me to respond better to that moment instead of getting entirely derailed by it. Okay, let's get into this. So the first thing is, frustration is allowed. This is not the moment for toxic positivity. It's not good to pretend that it's fine when it's not fine. If you don't feel fine, there was disappointment in this moment, and that's okay. So sitting in that space for a bit is fine. But staying in that space for too long is also unhelpful. It doesn't change anything. It just drains energy that I still need for other stuff. So let's just name the frustration, or whatever the feeling is. Let's rather feel all the feels. Let the frustration exist without letting it become the whole story. For pretty much my whole life, my mom has implemented the 3-minute rule. So the rule is, you can have all of your feelings about what's happening for 3 minutes. And it's important to take the 3 minutes. And then you take a deep breath and you make a plan. That might sound a little bit intense. As someone who feels everything deeply, I feel like this kind of framework is really helpful. So I created a 3-minute guide. If you think that this kind of framework would be good for you too, it helps you give yourself room for a short, intentional pause to feel the things and then reset so you can get shit done. It's it's a good rule. If you want the guide, I'm linking it below. It's there for you if you need it. The second thing is attaching meaning to stuff. So what usually kills motivation in these moments is not the change that's happening, it's the meaning that we attach to that change. We can make it very heavy and then it's hard to carry. I am great at a downward spiral. I'm so good at it. I have practiced for decades. Our brains are really good at jumping really quickly and going down this downward spiral of what even is the point now? Everything is off track. I had this beautiful plan and it's not working, and now the whole thing is ruined and there's no point in trying at all. These downward spirals are not a good place to be. We don't really want to be in them, we just get stuck. So we have to get better at catching ourselves before we spiral too far down. Because the reality is, the plan changing doesn't mean that the goal disappears or the big mission or the big picture has to completely change. It just means that the route is shifting and the way that we get there is slightly different to what we originally pictured for ourselves. We can separate the reality of the situation from the story that I'm telling myself in my head as I go down this spiral. Sometimes we need other people to help us to catch us and to be like, hey friend, let's take a breath and calm down. That's really helpful as well. I know that we often are pushed into this all or nothing attitude. I have that in some aspects of my life. Balls to the wall, not at all, right? But staying motivated and keeping the motivation high doesn't mean that we have to force the original plan at all costs. We can't even do that because the change has already happened. The original plan that we so beautifully created and molded is no longer available. So I think it's really about reframing what's happening and what our role is in that situation. I like being in control, but we don't have that available to us a lot of the time. So what part of this whole thing is actually still in my control? Let's understand that. Then it's asking, what is the next best option instead of the original one? Flexibility in this moment, in this space, is not giving up or having no accountability. It's energy management. We need to be efficient with the energy that we have because we have shit to do. We gotta keep going. We have to stay engaged with the plan without burning out and trying to control something that we can't control. That's kind of rough for me sometimes, but we work on it. It reminds me of how important trust in this whole motivation station situation is, especially when you are doing things alongside somebody else, and everything that I do in my life involves other people. That's just the way it is. It's an added perk of my disability scenario. It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. And we learn to work with it and make it work for us. There has to be communication and understanding. There has to be room and grace for recovery and compassion when plans change either way from either side. We have to trust that we are working towards something bigger than like one specific date on the calendar or like one race that we were really excited about. And I think the big thing here is that motivation is sustainable when the trust stays intact, because underneath all of this chaos, we know that whatever happens, we'll figure it out, and that comes when you trust the people that you're working with. Whenever I have these kinds of conversations, is that motivation is an active thing. It lives in the present. It doesn't live in the version of the plan that we originally had 5 months ago. So focusing on what's actually happening right now in this moment, instead of being grumpy and like fighting reality, things feel lighter. We can be more grounded because we're just dealing with what's happening right now. We can make any plan that we need to. Plans can be made, people. There is no limit on the number of plans. The limit does not exist. Sometimes, though, if things really do unfold differently than expected, and I am in the situation where I actually don't have a plan, all of my backup plans aren't working. And in those moments, there may be some tears while we work out the new next steps, which is fine. We can cry and carry on. The story is getting way more interesting. It's getting more fun to tell people about it later. And the best stories always have plot twists. And the whole thing with the plot twist is that you don't really know when it's coming or what it is. Sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. Take a deep breath and go. So, if your plans have changed recently, or if something feels delayed or disrupted or like out of your control, you don't need to force the motivation. You don't need to be the motivation station. You don't need to be relentlessly positive. That's not sustainable. You just need to be open and flexible and honest about what is in front of you right now. And that feels a lot less overwhelming. We don't need it. We have better things to spend our energy on than panicking. Motivation will find us. I would love to hear where your plans have fallen apart or shifted lately, or how you are adapting to said plan changes. Let me know. If you are keen to see how this flexibility has played out in real life, you can check out my Winelands Marathon video next. And I'll see you there.